Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology,
And I'm Lynda from Scullywag Astrology.
and today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Taurus.
hmm And it's also a lunar eclipse. And this will be the last of the lunar eclipses in the Taurus Scorpio eclipse season. So, very last one for another 9 years, I imagine. So, let's have a look at the
Well,
chart. So, Donna, do you want to tell us about the moon mansion?
hey, the moon mansion is the third moon mansion. This mansion is a pretty good one, although Ptolemy says that it is the flavor of the moon and Mars. It's called the Many Little Ones. It's about beauty and transformation, creative energy, as well as career. It is good for safer sailing on seas, so they say. It's also good for incarcerating captives. So if you have somebody you want to lock up, it might be a good time. It's good for hunting and it's good for man and wife relationships, but it is not good for overindulging. You could get yourself into trouble. And that really goes well with the planetary alignments that we have
Yeah,
this fortnight.
I'm just laughing. Me and Donna were talking about we're both planning a party on the 28th. Anyway, but yeah, we've got that Jupiter Mars opposition. And but not only that, that Jupiter is sitting right on my Venus. And Jupiter Venus conjunction.
Oh, my goodness.
Should be interesting. Yeah, and I mean, not only that Jupiter Mars opposition happening at the time, but Mercury very, very close to that Mars. So fighting words, and that
Mm.
Mercury's under the beams. So it could be a very interesting time.
Yeah. Yeah, there is seems like there's a lot of energy associated with this one right here.
Very interesting. Well, I mean, the moon is exalted in Taurus, so there's that. That's hopeful. Jupiter is a benefic and it's with the moon, so that's nice. Where's Venus? Venus is forming a trine to the full moon, so that's also nice. Mars is opposite though, and where's Saturn? Saturn is sextile. We've got a lot of Mercury aspects in the upcoming aspects in the 2 weeks following this too. We have a lot of aspects and planets changing signs and that in general. I think there's 15 between, oh no, actually 14 planetary aspects between this and the new moon in Scorpio. So, but
And the
wherever,
nodes are stationing during the eclipse.
oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
they must be at their heat.
Mm. What is that? 11 degrees away, because this isn't a total lunar eclipse, so we won't get the blood red moon, which would have been pretty cool with it being so close to Halloween. But you can't have everything. uh, and that is because the nodes are so far away. If those nodes were closer to the moon and the sun, it would be a total eclipse, total full moon lunar eclipse. Wherever Taurus and Scorpio are in your chart, if you know what houses that encompasses, that might give you some idea of what's been kind of wrapped up in this 2 years, bouncing around between eclipses. So whatever, has been happening over the last 2 years, this might be some sort of culmination of it. Eclipses can change things, kind of turn them on their head a little bit. More likely to happen if you do have planets around about these degrees. So around about 5 degrees of the fixed signs. So that's Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. Lunar eclipses are more indicative of endings, usually. So something to do with people or topics associated with your Taurus house, or it could even be the Scorpio, because it is wrapping up. This is wrapping up the very last of the Taurus for another 9 years or so, but it's wrapping up the whole of the Taurus Scorpio eclipses. We're moving fully into the Aries Libra eclipses. So yeah, Interesting times.
That should be.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's got some protection of the benefics there. But having said that, Venus, one of the benefics, is in the sign of her fall in Virgo, and Jupiter's retrograde. So, but
Not strong help. Maybe a little.
yeah. Well, shall we have a look at the horoscopes?
Oh, sounds like a good idea. Okay. And Lynda, as you always say, we always look at the rising sign as your the sign that you should be listening for. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go with your sun sign and at the and sometimes the moon, but really the rising sign is going to be more speaking more to you about what you're going to be going through and which ones you'll be listening for. And we do have a video that Lynda can connect to that gives an explanation of why you would use your rising sign.
Yeah, I'll put a
That's
link
good.
to that in the description. And I mean, if you're curious about the houses too, that's a great video for that, because we go through the houses and give a quick description of what all the different houses mean too.
If Taurus is your rising sign, it's a full moon and it's going to be things that are coming to fruition. So if things that you specifically had, going up with, if you're a Taurus rising, if you had things that you've been working on with yourself, then this would be a time that you would see all that coming to fruition or to culmination. So it's not really a time for planting seeds, but it is a time to be looking for the fruits of your labor if you're a Taurus rising.
I'm just looking at that Mercury, Mars in the seventh, though. Could be some harsh words with partners.
Well, yeah.
And if you are an Aries ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your second house. The second house is our income and finances, our personal possessions and resources. So, yeah, there might be some high point culmination, or for those particularly that have planets around about 5 degrees of, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, this might be some sudden shocking thing. I mean, not only have we got, the eclipse happening in this house, but it's with Uranus, which is kind of quite shocking, and all the rest of it itself. Actually, I'm just looking at, we were talking about how this eclipse, it's a wide, very wide square to Pluto, but that Uranus trine to Pluto. It could be, we're in for a bumpy ride. But yeah, we've got Mars and Mercury in the 8th house of shared finances and possessions. So, this might be, look, you've got the benefic with it. You've got Jupiter with you in the 2nd house. Hopefully this is going to go well for you. But that opposition between Jupiter and Mars in the house of shared finances and resources, you've also got Mercury that's under the beams and, in contact with that Mars. There might be a little bit of just dealing with finances. I don't think it's going to be a nice, pleasant, thing. I think it's going to be a little bit stressful, perhaps. Some things might be said, and yeah, it's very easy to get het up and say something that you might regret, or maybe they might say something that they regret. But look, it's you've got Jupiter there, so that's good. And Uranus is often associated with freedom. So maybe this will be good in the long run. And it's possible that this could have been building for 2 years, because this is the very last eclipse in the Scorpio Taurus eclipses.
That's if you're an Aries rising. But if you are a Pisces rising, this is going to be happening in your 3rd house. This is culmination and things that are coming to fruition in your 3rd house, and that has the house of your community, your brothers and sisters, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, extended family, anything that you're used to. The people that you basically grew up with that are in your family. This could also be your neighborhood as well as your car, how you transport. So it is an eclipse, and eclipses tend to eclipse things in and out, and that's that's opposition of foreign places as well. So it's just I wouldn't necessarily schedule leaving on a trip today if you are a Pisces rising. I would tend to reconsider your departure time.
And if you are an Aquarius ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your fourth house. The fourth house is our family, most particularly our parents. It's our home and living situation and real estate matters and things like our heritage, homeland. So this eclipse, it may not actually concern you. It might be something happening to your parents. It might be some high point or culmination to do with them. Could be sudden, shocking things. It could be you learn something about your ancestors, your heritage. It could have something to do with real estate, or it could be living situation and your home. It could be, somebody leaves a home. Maybe that's a complete shock. You weren't expecting it. Somebody's moving out, moving on. Or it could be a high point.
Very cool. Okay, if you are a Capricorn rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your fifth house of what you create or what you do for fun. This is also the house of children as well as artistic adventures. It could also be what you would use like either a sports event, like if you were going to a basketball game, a hockey game, or a concert even. So this is going to be, if you're a Capricorn and you're working to like one of those things, this is going to be happening in your fifth house. And as I said before, this is an eclipse. So things could be eclipsed out of your life as well as eclipsed into your life. So that is something to be mindful of. And you also have Pluto in your first house. So you've been going through a little bit of a transitioning rough spot anyway, or you might have been, or just changing up your life. I mean, you might have just, revamped yourself and you were maybe a hairdresser and all of a sudden you're president of a company. So, I mean, it could be some kind of a big transformation as well that you've been going through. I don't know. You get a hold of Lynda for a natal reading and that might tell you. But anyways, if you are a Capricorn rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your fifth house of fun.
And if you are a Sagittarius ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is associated with illness, pets, service to others, and those that we employ or work for us. Can also be associated with work, if kind of like your work is not so much a career, but something that you kind of do and you kind of find it a bit of a drudge sort of thing. It can be that. Can also be co-workers. So this could be something like, a co-worker's leaving, an employee's leaving. It is pets. So, if there is a pet that's not being well or is getting on, it's unfortunate, but that is possibility. Hopefully not. Or, this could be a high point because just because there's eclipses happening over these houses, you might have nothing at the early degrees of the fixed signs. This might just be just like just a normal full moon for you. Eclipses don't always kind of, smack everybody around. Otherwise, we'd all be crazy. Can you imagine everybody going through all the drama at the same time? Not good. You do have Mars and Mercury in the 12th house of our undoing. So really, this is a contentious pairing, particularly, I would say Mercury and Scorpio, they know how to really sting. And, Mars is aggressions. And this is in your 12th house of your personal undoing sort of thing. So, yeah, particularly if you do have a job that you hate, probably not the best time to tell the boss exactly what you think. But yeah, look, it's not going to be that for everyone, but just be aware you do have, everybody has that tendency to kind of be a little bit more aggressive than they mean to with their speech, thinking, and communications. But for you, it's in your 12th house of your undoing. So for you, this might be even more problematic. So yeah, just something to be aware of.
And if you are a Scorpio rising, this is going to be happening in your seventh house of the other. So this will be, if you're a Scorpio rising, Taurus is that seventh house, and this is where it's going to be happening. And this is going to be culmination if you have not only just like a spousal type of partner, but it could also be a business partner. It could even be a doctor or a hairdresser, somebody that you have an appointment with, a scheduled meeting, somebody who's committed to seeing you. So this is when things are going to come to fruition. But like Lynda said, there's that Mars Mercury that is right across, the way from it. So if you are the Scorpio rising, you can be irritated very easily today. So try to give everybody a little bit of space.
Bit of space and a bit of grace. I think
I was going to say a little bit more grace, because don't call for space, because I'm seeing Mars in there. That's separation. You don't necessarily want to separate from somebody, but just, if they need to, if they walk off to cool off, give them that little bit of room is all I was trying to say.
And Scorpio does like to brood. I've got enough Scorpio in me to know that. And I know you've got enough Scorpio in you to know that too. We're not picking on Scorpio.
Yeah, we do.
love Scorpios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That Mars Mercury is problematic for everyone. It's, yeah.
And in Scorpio, where Mars has the most, full effect.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And that poor Mercury is under the beams. Yeah. And then we've got Jupiter opposite, just kind of inflaming stuff. It's just like, yeah, great.
Fanning those flames.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are a Libra ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house is to do with shared finances and resources. It's other people's money. That can be your partner's money, whether that's a business partner or a romantic partner. It's also things like debts and loans, superannuation, which means nothing to Americans. That would be the equivalent of like your 401ks and that. Insurances, taxation, also death and mortality, so things like inheritances and wills. So there might be some high point, ending, or culmination to do with topics of this nature. You may find out, because you've got Uranus in there too, which is kind of surprising. I'm just looking that Uranus is making a trine to Venus. Venus will make a trine to it a couple of days later. That will be very interesting. You might actually inherit something. That might be nice. Or maybe you benefit through a partner, which is another option there. Or, maybe you find out, you don't owe the tax department, so many thousands, but, they've got a nice big fat refund check for you. Wouldn't that be nice? If you do, though, I'm just looking at your 2nd house. You got Mars in there, so it's going to burn a hole in your pocket. But yeah, that's with Jupiter there, hopefully that will be good. You do have that Mercury Mars, so I'm just thinking you might be written out of the will too if you don't watch your P's and Q's. But no, look, you got the benefic there. You've got Uranus there, which is, bringing all sorts of things, surprises, shocking things, but it's also making a trine to Venus. As I said,
ruling that moon.
Yeah, that everybody's got this Mars Mercury, so it's just a matter of which house it's in and whether it's making any connections with personal planets in your chart. But yeah, look, hopefully this is good. Maybe this is a surprising benefit through others somehow, or through joint enterprises, or just a culmination or ending. Maybe you've that loan's been approved, or you've reached that financial agreement.
I like that. Libra does sound like a nice one.
Mm.
Anyway, if you are a Virgo rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your ninth house. The ninth house will be culminations in either higher education or publishing. It could have to do with legal matters as well. This could also be astrology, the occult, some of the esoteric subjects. Might be you might be whether you're trying to do something in those areas and you're finally either getting books or getting what it's coming to an end or culmination in those subjects, and that very well might be happening with you. And you got that Venus in your first house, so should even though she's in fall, she should have a little bit of
Yeah,
good power.
yeah. And Venus in the first should make you charming, or more charming. And if you are a Leo ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your 10th house. So you've got the full bright light of the full moon in your 10th house, one of the most visible houses. Well, if not the most visible house, right at the top of your chart. The 10th house is associated with career and public reputation. So there could be some surprising shifts to do with career, authorities. Could be, a boss is leaving, because full moons are often associated with endings or culminations. It could be you're coming to the completion of some big project at work, or you're leaving work. Could be some sort of honor or recognition coming to you at this time. There is, if you can see this on video, you can see all these red lines to the fourth house planets, which is our home and family. We've got Mercury and Mars there. So all this, there may be a lot of time and attention happening in the workplace, and maybe that may cause some discord at home or with family or with those that you live with. But yeah, maybe some changes afoot at work. So that could be interesting. You might decide that you're going to completely change to a different career, or do something that you haven't been known for prior to this, because this is what you do, because not everybody works, but it's what you're known for. It's kind of what you do.
Very interesting. And I'm seeing that Pluto with that square, so this is the last time it's going to be in a square position to that, an eclipse or a full moon in Taurus. So, or
Mm.
the eclipse in the full moon. Could be different. Anyways, if you are a Cancer rising, this full moon and eclipse is going to affect you like more than normal. Usually the eclipses do um affect you because your ruler is the moon. So, and that's the planet that we're looking at right now for this thing. This is going to be happening in your 11th house of hopes and dreams and friends and associations. So things will be coming to fruition or to a close or a culmination around groups and hopes and dreams. So lucky you if you've got some things going on in the works. This very well might be finally getting there.
That would be nice. Yeah. And if you are a Gemini ascendant, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is a house of our undoing. That can include things like addictions, self-defeating habits, escapism. It's also places of confinement like prisons and hospitals. And it can be places of retreat or rest. It's kind of working behind the scenes. It can also be associated with being far from home or being, in exile. So this could be, it is a full moon. So it could be endings, culminations, or high points. It is for those particularly with planets round about 5 degrees of the fixed signs, particularly Taurus and Scorpio, but also Aquarius and Leo. This might be a little bit more just the word that popped into my head was earth shaking, but like maybe that's a little bit too dramatic. I'd say more, it might just upset the apple cart a bit, and not necessarily in a bad way, but it may be just, you know, turns things on their head a little bit. So yeah, this could be sudden changes or things coming to light. You know, this is also a house associated with the hidden and secret things. So maybe some secret comes to light and, you know, changes things. I'm just looking at in the opposite house, the sixth house, we do have that Mercury and Mars, which would usually be, you know, aggressive communications or fighting words. But this is in the house of our health. But it could also be to do with service to others or employees and that. Yeah, it may be, and eclipses can eclipse things out of your life. So maybe there's been a bad habit. Maybe, you know, for some lucky ones, this is a time of, you know what, you just wake up one day and go, I don't want to do that anymore. It's not good for me. And you do it. That would be great. With that Uranus there, I don't think it would be quite that simple. But, you know, maybe something, you know, maybe there's a big wake up call or something. We do have Jupiter there, very close to the eclipse. And that Jupiter is opposite that Mars. And yeah, maybe there's a big blowout and it's just like, enough's enough. But, you know, for those who,
Definitely some George Howard.
yeah, I'm all doom and gloom today. So what do? I plan a party for that night. Yeah, good one, Lynda. But yeah, look, for a lot of people, this would just be like a full moon. And in that case, it might be you've been working behind the scenes, or you've taken time out to just kind of rest and, you know, recharge your batteries. And yeah, you're thinking, nah, I feel like being a bit more social and getting out amongst it again. And that might be all this is. So yes.
Very cool. It's not going to be a normal you know, full moon. It's going to have some bumps with that Uranus in there and Mars directly across.
Yeah. Well, not just Mars, but the Jupiter Mars opposition. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And
So
Donna, do you
the
have a stone
stone,
for
I've
us?
been teasing you with it. I have my snake earring and my skeleton necklace. The stone is brimstone.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was cool. But it's otherwise known as simply sulfur.
I always thought, well,
It's a,
I would have thought it was black, brimstone. How is brimstone
no,
yellow?
it is bright yellow. It is yellow. This is from Michigan,
Mhm.
and this is from Poland.
Oh, how come that one's
So,
not as fluorescent?
and it's just that bright. It's just really that bright.
Wow.
And they say it has an oily feel to it. I don't see it though. But this is brimstone,
Wow.
and man, did I go down a rabbit hole with this stuff. This is a different form of it because it's after actually an orthorhombic crystal system. And this, and if it's not in that, it's a it's a powdery this is powder that's just formed into the uh, a cylinder like this, and it has a Mohs hardness of 1.5 to 2.5, so it's really brittle, and I keep them all in boxes. And a little bit about this stone is it is a it goes from yellow to brown and yellow to orange to even white can be found in it. This is a like these are clumps of it. Okay, where it's just like a chunk of it. It
Mhm.
almost looks like you could almost see right through it. But it is good for, very good for dispelling negative energy.
Mhm.
So this is very good for that. It blocks distracting thought patterns. It comes from volcanic regions, which is pretty much almost everywhere. And it works in repairing your DNA. It also works for skin, and it also works for swelling. So this has chondroitin and glucosamine, glucosamine. How do you say that? Glucosaminic, no, glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate. So those are the things that sulfur is in. And those things, if you remember, if you have pets and you give them glucosamine and chondroitin, then you know that it helps their joints. And that's what this does. So, and not only that, but there are so many uses for sulfur, and it has been around for so long. It helps with DNA. It helps with your joints. It's good for it helps with your skin. It can be toxic, so watch how you use it. It's probably one of the reasons why I keep it in boxes. It can be toxic, and but it does help repair your DNA as well. So you kind of have to, it's one of those things that's kind of good for you, but not, don't overdo it.
Wow.
That is Brimstone.
I'm just amazed it's
I love
yellow.
it for this time of year. You gotta love it.
It's expecting you to pick up something
I
black.
went down a rabbit hole. I am going to be writing an article on it. This is such an interesting stone. Go to my website in a week or two because I'm not all that good on getting them out. But I do eventually. But there's going to be a lot of good information there. And I got it from WebMD on the DNA repair.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, I went down a rabbit hole last night, just all kinds of stuff on sulfur or brimstone.
Wow. Is all sulfur brimstone or is all brimstone sulfur? Is
All
brimstone
sulfur is brimstone. One of the ways that in the Bible there was something about um that the planet was overrun by sulfuric acid and stuff like that. That was one of the ways. There was a flood, there was a fire, there was wind. There's like four different ways of destroying the earth, and sulfur was apparently used in one of them.
yeah, well, you talk about like fiery ministers, talking about hellfire and brimstone. So yeah. Interesting.
It is
Oh,
a very interesting stone. It's and it is a crystal. It has it has a repeating lattice, and I thought it was a very interesting stone. The more and more I just used it for, I usually basically use it for skin and pain, you know, swelling.
yeah,
But who knew?
I know. I'm still
It's
amazed.
one of the ingredients to saltpeter. It
Oh,
is also one of the ingredients to gunpowder.
oh, isn't saltpeter what they kind of give people to kind of take away their libido? Like they used to give it to
Hmm.
soldiers?
Yep.
Interesting.
But I think you had to add other chemicals to it.
Oh,
You must
she
have got
probably
to.
did. Oh my. Well, shall we have a look at the aspects? Well, the first aspect we have after the lunar eclipse is on the same day. It is Mercury opposite retrograde Jupiter. Interesting. Not only Mercury opposite retrograde Jupiter, but Mercury Mars opposite retrograde Jupiter. So this could be, as we were saying all through the horoscopes, Mercury and Mars can be fighting words, and then that Jupiter can just fan it way out of control.
Yeah. This would be great. And I don't know if I don't know if there's going to be a debate on this day. This would be a great day for a debate, a big debate. Like we're having presidential voting coming up soon, probably in another year. And this is the candidates are starting to come out and on who would be, and that would be a great day for a debate because this is it's you want to do that thinking and that power and show where your leadership skills are. That would be a great Mars is in its own sign, so it's very strong. Or hard mental work, which also would be a good application to this.
Yeah, but that poor Mercury's under the beams, it's too close to the
It
sun,
is.
overshadowed. It's in a sign that's, emotional and kind of can hold a grudge, can be brooding.
Mm.
And then you got Jupiter opposite, also in a fixed sign. Yeah, following on from a full moon eclipse. Yeah, this could also.
Yes, this also is an aspect that could make you very irritable or defensive. If you have to defend something, you could feel very defensive with this.
Could be burnout, as in like mental burnout. That Mercury, if we take the Mars out for a minute, but Mercury opposite Jupiter, because Mercury and Jupiter are very different in that, they're both interested in ideas, but Mercury wants to drill down into the minutiae, and Jupiter just wants, it's, all about the big ideas. So, and then throw Mars in
Here's about the details.
Yeah. Should be an interesting day. That's all I'm saying. And then on the 29th, we have Mercury and Mars coming together in their conjunction. They're still going to be opposite Jupiter. They will have both passed their opposition to Jupiter, but they're, at 11 degrees. Jupiter's still at 11 degrees. Yeah, so that energy is still going to be felt. Mars is very strong in this sign. It's in its own sign. It's in its place where it's at its home, its domicile. Yeah. Jupiter, not as strong. It's peregrine, has no essential dignity in Taurus. Mars just wants to rush ahead and it's very fixed. It's got that Mercury, so thinking is, fixed and, my way or the highway sort of thing. And I think this can just be things blown out of context and what do they call it? Like people drawing lines in the sand and, yeah, it's,
yeah, my way or no way.
yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we're learning that, we're all going to be going through a lot of turmoil and give each other grace. It'd be nice.
That would be. Yeah. I think this is just going to be a particularly tense couple of days for a lot of people. But, as we were saying with the Mercury opposition Jupiter, this could be mental burnout too, lots of thinking, lots of fast, quick reactions, and that can just leave you feeling depleted. But yeah, Mercury conjunct Mars, fighting words.
And so the next aspect is Venus will trine Uranus. And Uranus is all about the shocking new revolution, independent as well. And when Venus is trining that shockingness, it can be for it's a good time to consider your relationships. If you've always been doing one thing, then do another. It's an opportunity to expand your palettes too. It's the shocking, it's the different, it's the unusual, and that's what this aspect is asking you to do.
Yeah, and this is happening on the 31st in the USA. It will be still the 31st down here, but much later at night. So yeah, this could be fun. but I'm thinking too with Venus and Virgo, you know, Venus is in fall here. So she doesn't kind of necessarily conform to expectations. You know, what's the usual? I know in one of our groups, we we're talking about this, and somebody said a lot of models have Venus and Virgo and that. And it makes sense when you think about it, because, you know, they might be quite striking in that, but like they're so striking and so different from the norm, I suppose. So yeah, this could be fun. This could be a great excuse, you know, maybe this Halloween, if that's what you like to indulge in, is a good excuse to dress up and maybe, you know, be somebody a bit different, you know, even if just for a night.
It is Halloween after all.
Mm, mm. So it could be fun. But yeah, Venus trine Uranus is usually a little bit of fun. This is following on from all that Mars, Mercury opposite Jupiter. So, you know, maybe there's been a big blowout, maybe, and because Venus trine Uranus can be like attraction to, you know, people that aren't your usual type in that as well, you know. This could be, for some, this could be like, you know, a big blowout with the current significant other or boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, and, you know, maybe you kind of meet up with somebody very different to your type.
I'm just going through the scenario, you know, with it being Halloween and, you know,
Mm.
masks on, and you know, if you meet somebody, chances are, and if you're looking for love, this is not somebody who you're gonna end up taking to your parents in a couple months. This is not a relationship that's gonna really last. So
Or if
should be
it
fun. There could be fun, but it's not a lasting relationship.
Mm. Or if it does turn out to be a longer lasting one, it's more likely to be unusual, not to conform to the usual standards. Maybe it's long distance, maybe it's whatever is, you know, non-traditional, I suppose would be the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
Different religion, a different ethnic group, yeah, just all kinds of changes.
Well, and it could be that, or it could be, you know, I don't know, maybe you're part of a throuple, or you're polyamorous, or who knows. But for whatever, you know, there might be just, if it is to work long term, it probably needs a certain amount of freedom and just, yeah, this isn't kind of like, you know, you're married in 1.5 years or something, settle down. Like Donna said, this isn't kind of like, you know, taking to meet mum and dad in, you know, 3 months time, but it could be fun for Halloween. See this, and I think, yeah,
Sure.
this is more the holiday fling than the love of your life usually.
It's an opportunity to you know, Uranus is asking you to mix it up, to, you know, to try you know, if you're always eat ranch, then, you know, try Thousand Island or Italian. You know, it's if you're, you know, just Uranus is asking you to mix it up, because if you don't take, or if you don't try the different things that are out there, you'll never grow. So this is kind of a growing thing. It's good for you to not like this.
And this is it too. I mean, we're talking about Venus, and it's not just relationships. So when we think of Venus, we often think of relationships. It's also art and beauty and harmony. And, you know, Venus is what brings us joy.
Maybe you're looking for, if you're a painter, you might try pottery, or you might try glass blowing, or stained glass, or you know, just mixing it up. Or that's kind of what Uranus is asking you to do, is to,
Mm.
it might feel uncomfortable. Uranus transits usually are not comfortable, because they're asking you to go out of what you normally, the path that you normally travel.
Yeah, and outside your comfort zone to a certain extent, quite often. But yeah, you know, this could be something as simple as going to, you know, a concert that's not your usual taste, you know. Maybe you're usually into heavy metal and someone's dragged you to an opera or something, you know.
It could be fun, it could be challenging, but different.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then the sun is going to be opposite retro Jupiter. It's looking at the big picture. It's what do I need to do? The details are not are this is not a good day to like narrow down the details of a project. This is the day to look at the big picture of everything.
Yeah. A little bit easy to get carried away with things at this time too, maybe a little bit too over enthusiastic or over optimistic. You might have plans and think, oh, we can do this and this, but when it actually comes time to do it, maybe it's going to take longer than you expected, or you don't have the resources, or you can't rely on the people that you thought might be there for you at this time. Jupiter is also retrograde at this time. So it can kind of make us feel a little bit like we're not as enthusiastic as we might be, or we don't feel as lucky at this time. So, yeah, it may be kind of coming down with a bit of a thud. You're all enthusiastic about something, and then it's like, then reality hits.
Yeah. Be careful about biting off more than you can chew, or overindulging, or taking on more of a project than you can handle.
Yeah,
A pretty pattern in the middle of that chart.
that is a very pretty pattern. Very
It
nice.
looks like a star.
No, it is very pretty. So we've got all those planets trining each other, and then we've got the sextiles. It's a shame we don't have a sextile between. We really need a planet we need Mercury a little bit further along to sextile that Pluto there. Maybe we'll get it in a further one. But yeah, Wednesday's 3rd of November, Venus opposite Neptune. Remember how we were talking about Venus trine Uranus? And how it's
Yeah.
yeah, this might be what's the word, the reality check. Venus opposed Neptune can be very idealistic, romantic. This is the rose-colored glasses. Yeah, you're not really seeing the full picture here. Venus is in fall as well, so she's not in the best position to carry out Venusian type things like relationships, harmony, art, beauty. Not to say that she can't, be artistic or beautiful or whatever, but there's likely to be something just not. Planets in fall tend to be, they don't tend to meet societal expectations, I suppose. So
Yeah, they struggle to be their good self. They're to show off their good qualities. They struggle to do that when they're in fall. So yeah, but this is, you know, Venus opposite Neptune is a good day for daydreaming. It's a good day for coming up with solutions to things. Not that you would put anything in concrete. This is a good day to just kind of like mull over different avenues of solving a problem. This isn't going to give you the solutions, but it could give you some artistic ways of maybe solving problems that you hadn't thought of before. And that's the good thing about a Neptune opposite Venus. If you're trying to work out a solution, this is a good day for daydreaming. I wouldn't do anything serious, but it might be a good day to this would also be a good day for the esoteric subjects as well. You have a little bit more sensitivity through this type of a transit.
I'm just looking at that star pattern. You've got a grand trine between Venus, Pluto, and Uranus. And then you've got Venus at the time that this is the aspect is exact. You've got Venus sextile the moon, which is in Cancer, where it's at home, and a wider sextile to Mercury. Yeah, could be great time for romantic daydreaming too, in particular. I think, just be aware they're human, they're going to have faults, and so do you. Enjoy it while it lasts, but don't start planning the wedding just yet.
It's a good day to get in touch with your feelings. And so the next thing is Saturn is going to station direct. Whew. We've been this, it seems like Saturn's been retrograde for so long. It's now going to start moving forward, and it's going to work its way more in towards the center of Pisces. So it's in Pisces now, and it's moving direct. So it's going to be, it's not in its home sign, so it does not have rulership here. That's not as strong as it has been these last couple of years, but last 4 years, but it still is Saturn, and it does it's in Saturn, anytime a Saturn or anytime a planet stations, it seems to be a lot stronger. So we might have more barriers or restrictions or more rules. Those types of things might be stronger on November 4th.
Yeah, at least it will be going direct. And, that's something. It is a planet of no. Maybe now, though, it's a good time to start building and, laying the groundwork for whatever it is you're trying to build in whatever house Pisces is in your chart. Because while it's been retrograde, those limitations and restrictions might have seemed a little bit more insurmountable. Now that it has stationed and it will be going forward again, maybe you can actually make some progress.
So there's our breather. And is that on the same day?
Yeah.
That Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus. This is it's a working brain. This is a fast talking brain. This is almost where you would have a hard time falling asleep. I could see how this would happen. It's nervous energy. It's just constantly talking. Your brain is in it's this would be good with for tech issues if you want to learn those things, if you want to learn like technology or the esoteric subjects. This would be a good day to learn those or start learning a little bit more.
Yeah, I see this as like mental overload. Mercury's moved 5 degrees away from that Mars, but they're still pretty close. And, that Mars just wants to move. So that kind of speeds up that Mercury. And I mean, they're in a Mars sign of Scorpio. And then you got the Uranus, which is also sudden, quick, revolutionary. This could be a little bit of mental burnout, like Donna said, having trouble falling asleep. Very frazzled nerves for a lot of people, I imagine. But, some people might really like this, but it's a nervous, jangled energy. It could be surprising or unusual communications or messages with Mercury in Scorpio too, very easy to kind of have things throw you off guard too, I think, and maybe make you a little bit paranoid. Just be aware that, everybody's experiencing this and everything's a little bit chaotic. So take a breather. That Mars is still pretty close to that Mercury. Don't blow a gasket. Just kind of like, it's weird weather. Just kind of try and ride it out.
That Mars and Mercury are going to ride together within horseshoe distance, all through this next couple of weeks. I don't think Mercury is going to get that far away from Mars.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Not 4 more degrees.
Oh, Mercury's moving pretty quick, 157% of its usual speed. Mars is moving pretty quick too, though, 132%.
We'll see. It's a race. Will Mercury make it out of Mars's reach?
Oh, he will, but yeah. Well, actually, does he? We don't have Mercury. Oh, yeah, Mercury moves into Sag on the 10th. So we're getting there.
Okay. We're getting there.
And then on the 6th of November, we have Venus trine Pluto. So this is a trine, but with trines from the outers, it can just make the flow of energy easier or faster. So Pluto is associated with transformation, intensity, depth, honesty. Venus is about our values, our relationships, our beauty, art, what brings us joy. So this for some relationships, maybe this is a deepening of relationship. Maybe it's being more vulnerable and open. And hopefully this is expressed quite nicely. But, as I said, with the outers, sometimes they can just come along and smack you. And obviously, if you've got planets around about the late degrees of, let's say, well, particularly Virgo and Capricorn, it might be a little bit different for you if it's impacting something else. And it's going to, make a difference whether it's impacting, say, your Venus or your moon, or whether it's impacting, your Mars or your Saturn or something similar, but
Pluto, well, actually, all of the outer planets can be considered a little bit malefic. And a trine just allows it to move faster without any barriers. But this could also, I mean, it can be, it's not really a challenge like a square would be, but it can still have some not good aspects with this. But it also gives you a chance for, if you're an artistic, I could see if you have like a big painting to do that you're like, you typically only work on it like 3 or 4 hours. I could see you working like 12 hours on this, like really intense kind of an artistic expression. This could also be an intense love interest as well. So,
yeah,
intense.
yeah, that focused,
Yeah.
I only got, all my focus on this one thing, whether it's, like you said, relationship or art, Venusian topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. What brings you joy?
I could definitely see, how you just get carried away when you're painting or something, and just dive into it and like forget the rest of the world. They would be that kind of an intensity.
Yeah.
Possibly, if you have planets that are lining up with that.
Yeah. Just looking, we have Uranus at 21 degrees of the other Earth sign, Taurus. So, that's still kind of shaking things up a little bit too, hopefully in a positive way. But, all that energy is kind of ricocheting around those 3 signs. And yeah, maybe something unusual inspires you to really get in depth and, what's the word? Consumed or obsessed.
I like that, consumed with Pluto. That's a good that's a good keyword with Pluto.
Or obsessed on some project, some artistic project or a person or whatever. But yeah.
Speaking about getting lost, Mercury trine Neptune's going to happen. What is that? November 6th. So, this is a good day for mind travel. Listen to music. This is a good day to take a breather, a break, often breaks, to this gives you an opportunity to come up with different solutions. I love, this is the beauty of Neptune is it gives you the opportunity to go off on the daydreams and to just come up with other solutions that might work that you would have never thought normally would have worked. This is you're also going to be very sensitive to other people's moods as well with Mercury and trine. Yeah. So when your conversations can be very emotional.
Yeah. Mercury trine Neptune can be very idealistic and, romantic and dreamy, great for creativity, which, we were talking about that Venus Pluto trine going on at the same time. Could be excellent for that. Yeah. Just looking, I keep harping on about this Mercury Mars, but this could be Mercury Neptune. Like Neptune can be very idealistic and at its best can be quite altruistic, looking out for, not thinking of themselves, thinking of others, how they can help others. And that, if you can kind of harness that Mars Mercury to work that, to actually do something good, which would be brilliant. But yeah, I've just got this picture in my head of Mars bossing everybody about though. Shouting orders at people. You will go and do this. But yeah. But yeah, look, Mercury trine Neptune, really nice. We've spoken about how the trines have that easy flow of energy. If you did have anything go wrong here, it's Neptune can be very foggy. It's hard to kind of tie down details. We're talking about how Mercury is very detail orientated, whereas Neptune's not. It's kind of got no boundaries. It's very airy fairy kind of like, yeah. I mean, it's hard to pin down the details when you're You've got heavy fog around you. So it can also be associated with deception. So look, I wouldn't necessarily expect that. I would expect that more with a square or an opposition, but there is a possibility of being duped, I suppose. Just something to be aware of. But look, I think this could work really nicely for creativity, daydreaming, and idealistic pursuits.
Not a day for contract signing. So, I mean, this is a good day to nail out the contract, but then sign it on another day when you can go back over the details, when you can be more focused.
Yeah.
And then the next, oh, is this the same day? This is on November 8th, where Venus will enter Libra. Thank goodness. Venus will finally be in her own sign. I've been waiting for it. I need Venus to be in her own sign.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that Venus can now finally have strength and hopefully get above some of the things that she's been struggling against. So I like this.
Yeah. I mean, she's coming out of Virgo where she's in a fall. She's going to be in Libra till the 4th of December when she goes into Scorpio, where she'll be in detriment. It's kind of like between, this is like the peak place for her.
A rock and a hard place.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, when she's in Taurus, she's got to go through Aries first, where she's also in detriment. But yeah, look, nice place. She rules Libra, so she's happy here. She's got everything she needs to carry out her objectives, so that's nice. Yeah, and look, you know, wherever Libra is in your chart, you know, maybe there'll be some just bit of sweetness to that area of your life. You know, maybe you receive something, some sort of benefit, or, you know, not necessarily huge, but maybe just it's more convivial. Maybe people are just, it's a bit more harmonious. It's just nicer. People find, you know, people associated with that part of your chart might be just a little bit more easy to get along with. It's just adds a sweetness and a lightness to that area of your chart.
Just in time for the social season.
Yes.
Maybe that's why they came up with the social season, because Venus was sparking around. And then on the same day, Mercury is going to sextile Pluto. This is intense conversations. This is, you know, conversations that can transform. This is conversations that could, you know, you think that you're talking about, say, allowance, and then dad now wants to bring in your whole entire budget and for the rest of your life. It could get something blown up into a you know, it's either a molehill into a mountain, or a mountain into a molehill. That Pluto has that intensity to either make big things small or small things big. And, you know, this is this could be, watch the conversations that you get into, because they could get into very, very deep conversations, which is, it's not bad, but, you know, make sure that you have the time for them.
Yeah, you know, hopefully this is positive. I'm just thinking Mercury really is doing a lot in these 2 weeks. It's had the opposition to Jupiter. It's had the conjunction with Mars. It's had the opposition with Uranus, and now it's coming up to that sextile with Pluto. It's also been under the beams of the sun, so it's been invisible. We couldn't see it. It is at this time 12 degrees away from the sun, so it's probably still hidden. It's usually about 15 degrees that a planet's hidden, but I think Mercury, from what, 13, 14 degrees sometimes is visible. So it's
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully.
You've had all these things go on and a lot of thinking, because the good thing about being under the beams, not being seen, and particularly, you know, it's in Scorpio, which kind of likes delving into a mystery and digging down deep itself. You know, maybe this is kind of really kind of like, okay, we've gone through all this tumble and hurdy-gurdy and all this stuff going on. You know, we've had fights and aggression, we've had over optimism thinking, we've had shocking thinking, we've had too much thinking. We've had jangled nerves. Now we're getting deep and intense and all the rest of it. When it gets out from under the beams of the sun, so you know what's going to happen. It's going to go into Sag, where it's in detriment. So poor old Mercury can't catch a break lately. Yeah. But you know what I say about Jupiter ruled Mercuries? I think of them as heretics. They just don't think like normal. So yeah, maybe some interesting times ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Whatever you're studying, this is a good time to really do. This would be a good day to fall into a rabbit hole, like do that deep research. Speaking of rabbit holes earlier, this would be a day for it.
I was just talking about this. So 2 days later, Mercury enters Sagittarius, which, as we said, it is in detriment here because it's ruled by Jupiter, which is very different from Mercury. Mercury wants to drill down. It's very detail orientated. Jupiter is all about the big picture. So yeah, interesting. I don't know how long Mercury is going to be here, probably about 3 weeks. But yeah, so look, I quite like Mercury and Sage. They're great conversationalists. They're great storytellers.
Oh yeah,
a lot of fun. But yeah, look, they're probably not going to be the best on the details. So it might be a little bit more free and easy with that sort of thing. Communications, optimistic, very easy to kind of get a little bit carried away with thinking at this time. Yeah, so wherever Sagittarius is in your chart, people and topics associated with that house, you're probably thinking, communicating more with those sorts of people or topics.
very nice. And I think that the next aspect is going to help Mercury out a lot because that is Mercury needs to have some rules and some narrow it down and get more detailed. And that's exactly what Saturn is doing on the same day. So this is disciplined thinking. This is Mercury is still in fall, but that Saturn's going to help it narrow down what it needs to be thinking about. Maybe even saying, you know what, that idea is crazy, and throw it right out the window and you have to restart over. So Saturn is meant to go, hey, stop with this this kind of thinking because it's not going to work. Saturn is going to hopefully keep Mercury a little bit more in check. I'm thinking with this.
Yeah. Well, Saturn's newly direct. Yeah. Mercury is in the superior position, though. It is a square. This would be super helpful if it was a trine or a sextile. But yeah, I think it can do with the stability that Saturn can bring it. Can tend to a little bit more pessimistic thinking, conservative thinking, which is not something I usually think of when we talk about Sagittarius. But yeah, look, sometimes, we don't want to burst people's balloons, but sometimes, I'm thinking about that balloon boy. Was that a hoax? It must have been a hoax. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Where he took a whole bunch of balloons and went up in the air.
Yeah.
It was, I think, a hoax.
But it's kind of like, you get all these helium balloons, like if you had thousands of them, and suddenly you lift it off, then yeah, that's a good time. That's when you do need to kind of, put a pin in all those balloons, Too much of anything can be just too much, not necessarily a good thing. So yeah, look, we do need Saturn. But yeah, I don't think Mercury's going to be overly happy about this.
Well, let's just hope Mercury doesn't throw brimstone at us.
Saturn's killing Mercury's vibe. But, sometimes you need that.
It's amazing how we're going through these aspects and they're really matching up with the moon mansions, where it's, creative energy and yeah, I'm seeing how they're lining up. And because the moon mansions go for the 2 weeks. But anyway, back to the aspects. Yeah, Mercury is squaring Saturn. It's almost like, you want to have the conversation right now, and it's like not time to talk. It's like not right now. It's just, it seems very restricted communication. For some
Yeah.
reason, it's restricted communication
This is like the kid
or
that just
restricted
keeps talking.
travel.
Yeah. This is a kid that keeps talking. The parents like, it's bedtime. Go to sleep. Oh, we're nearly at the end. Mars
Yeah,
opposite Uranus. This is on the 11th of November.
it can be explosive anger.
Yeah, it can be. Just looking to see what else is going on at the same time. Well,
There it is.
Mars is kind of trining Neptune. So this could be not only explosive anger, but it could be not really directed in the right area either. Because, even though that's a trine to Neptune, it just means that it's, letting that Neptunian energy kind of flow and clouding the situation. Mars technically is under the beams of the sun. It's at 21, the sun's at 19, but because it's in a sign that it's ruled, we say that it's in its chariot. It's like protected. But yeah, and we've got still that wide opposition from Jupiter. Jupiter is kind of opposing, the sun and Mars in Scorpio. And we will also have the moon in Scorpio for a day or so too. Yeah, this could be very contentious. There's a couple of quite contentious days in this 2-week period. Even the lunar eclipse itself is a bit Hopefully
Yeah.
everything's good. And hopefully, for most people, this is no drama at all, but and the thing with Mars and Uranus, they both like to move quick too. So it's really easy to jump to conclusions. And as I said, that Neptune, it is a wide trine to Mars. It's making a sextile to that Uranus. But, Neptune clouds everything, and it can kind of, like I said, it's really easy to jump because they're both wanting to move quickly. You think you know what you're offended about or what you're fighting for or whatever, but, you might not have all the details, or you might even be actively deceived by somebody trying to take advantage of, that for whatever reason.
Mm, yeah. This could cause disruptive circumstances as well. It could also be, fighting for freedom, wanting liberation. This is fighting energy as well.
Yeah.
Fighting for a good cause, fighting for what you need for freedom.
Good point. Yeah.
But with that Neptune, make sure you understand what you're fighting for, because that could cloud uh your perception of what's going on.
Yeah. And they're both in fixed signs. We're talking about Taurus and Scorpio here. So it's not like, oh, well, once they kind of fix on an idea, it can be really hard to change their minds. So lots of biting of the tongue this month, I think. And again, very much easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the last aspect. Yes, it is. The next one we have is the new moon in Scorpio, which will not be an eclipse. So yeah, that'll be at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And that's on the 13th of November. When I was putting these in, I was just like 13th of November. I thought, oh, is that a Friday? But it's not, it's a Monday. It just felt like it should be a Friday with all this energy we've had. Oh, but look at that. We've got Mars with the new moon. Lovely. But it is a new moon in Scorpio, which means that Mars rules it, so it's there with it. So yeah, you know, it should be able to help. Oh, and it's opposing Uranus. Oh, great. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting.
Just for fun.
Nice.
Uranus is there.
Oh my.
Well, that ought to be an interesting day, that's for sure.
Venus won't be able to
Oh,
help because she's in Libra, in the sign next to the new moon. Jupiter's opposite. Where's Saturn? Saturn is in Pisces, so it'll be trine by sign.
yeah.
But you
Not
know,
a whole lot of aspects that are going to be aspecting it other than that Uranus.
yeah, you know, that Mars is, you know, it's moving in a decent
Or
speed.
Neptune.
So once that Mars passes that opposition, you know, won't be so bad. And then we'll have a sextile with Saturn again. Or no, we'll have a square. Oh, okay. It'll be fun. But at least maybe we can put that Mars to some work. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you know, Mars is in that sign, but Mars rules that sign. So this is a good time for Mars to shine. It's a good time for, you know, those leadership qualities to come out. The if you want to, you know, start working out, this is be a good time to do that with Mars has got that energy to fund that energy that you might have. It'll give you that support.
Yeah, and new moons are about, you know, beginnings, new starts, planting new seeds. So yeah, wherever Scorpio is in your chart, when this comes up, it will be new starts, new beginnings to do with the topics and people associated with that house.
Should
Wow,
be interesting.
it should be. And Donna, where can people find you, and what services are you offering?
Well, you can find me at donnabastrology.com. That's my website. The services I offer are natal readings, horary, medical astrology, chart rectification, and I as well work with energy healing. So work with crystals and do distant energy healing for people. And I want to mention this energy healing has nothing to do at all with religion. It's really talking about um your spirit. When I'm talking about spirit, it's spirit that you have that is inside you that kind of says, yeah, I want to be a doctor as opposed to a farmer. It's what drives you. It's the life that you chose for this life that I am speaking to. I'm not speaking to any religion at all when I'm talking about spirit. That
Okay.
this is a spiritual thing. It's not religious. It's more spiritual that I can have access to, because your spirit is what gets um hurt for those, those breakups and the traumas that you go through. That's your spirit that's hurting. It's not a physical part of you. That's what I'm addressing. So I just wanted to say that. That was Lynda. And you, what are you up to, and where can people get a hold of you?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com. And I offer natal readings, year ahead readings, and relationship readings. So yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I was just thinking with lunar eclipses. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. We did do a special podcast just about lunar eclipses, and if I remember correctly, and I'm fairly sure I do, we had a look at significant events in American history, like the Alamo. What else did we do? Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, presidents. Did we go through presidents?
Presidents was a solar eclipse one.
What
So
was the okay.
Alamo, Pearl Harbor. Can't think what else. But we did like 4 or 5 significant events in American history and looked at the lunar eclipses and how they fit in with that. So, yeah. And I will put a link to that too, because that goes into just a little bit of detail about lunar eclipses. So, yeah. Anyway, we hope that this lunar eclipse is kind to you. And if it's been horrible, sorry to hear that. But at least we're moving into Aries Taurus. You'll have another area of your chart that can be just chaotic then. So this is the last one. It should be
To the Libra, into Libra Aries, right?
Libra Aries. Yeah. What did
We're
I
moving
say?
into Taurus. I
Oh,
was like,
yeah, no.
Taurus.
We're finishing up with Taurus. This is the last Taurus eclipse, and it's the last
Yeah.
of the Taurus Scorpio.
Next
We're
one.
moving into Aries Taurus. So wherever Aries and Taurus are in your natal chart.
Aries, Libra.
Did I say it
You
again?
keep saying
In my defense,
third time's the charm.
in my defense, it is nearly 1 a.m. here. So
Okay. You are doing great.
anyway,
But it's
Aries Libra. Yes, there we go. Anyway, I hope it's been kind to you, and if not, it's moving on. So it should all come out in the wash. Yeah. We love your comments. We love your shares, your likes. We get a lot of likes. Really super, super pleased about that. It's really nice to hear that you're finding it helpful, or yeah, just enjoying it. And thank you for sharing and liking and all that. And if you're listening on podcast, if you could kind of, rate us, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy Brimstone.
Oh God. Okay, thank you. Bye.